Welcome to Alachua County Talks. Today we're at the County Emergency Operations Center. The last time I was at this podium, it was to bring you up-to-the-minute information during last year's hurricane season. It may look quiet here now, but when an emergency or natural disaster threatens our community, that all changes. This state-of-the-art facility is ground zero for relief efforts here in Alachua County. Behind me, community emergency response teams are training for potential crisis scenarios. On the program today, we're going to revisit some of the very real devastation a natural disaster can bring to a community and look ahead for plans for the upcoming hurricane season. Later, we'll see what state and county emergency responders are doing to prepare for a potential terrorist threat in Florida. Let's go back now to the 2004 hurricane season for a behind-the-scenes look at state and local preparations before the storms and relief efforts after. The video you are about to see was viewed by county employees during a presentation by State Emergency Management Director Craig Fugate.
When we woke up Friday, all indications were from NOAA and the National Hurricane Center that the storm was still kind of zeroing in on Tampa, perhaps a little bit south of Tampa. We had heard like Bradenton or Manatee County.
We had some very powerful winds going all the way up Florida, all the way to Alachua and Flagler County on the other side of the state.
We got our butt kicked. We got our butt kicked hard. But the heart, Charlotte County beat strong.
There's 5,000 new residents trying to help these folks. It's out there.
We are now in what we could literally term mass care. The resources are being pushed to the counties. This is a statewide issue.
We have 4,145 National Guard troops in the area. They're doing the range of duties from security, helping move supplies and support the response.
We have had 407 trucks carrying 2 million gallons of water into the state of Florida already. We have 162 trucks carrying 7 million pounds of ice for those that are without electricity and need ice to preserve their food supplies. And we've had over 300,000 meals delivered so far.
From this point forward, all state, all federal assets that are in support of the counties impacted by Hurricane Charlie will henceforth be known as Charlie Command. We will no longer identify ourselves as FEMA and state assets. We are Charlie Command assets. Our only mission in life is to meet the needs of the disaster victims in the communities of this storm.
Can respond to these challenges, even if it's a second one in 3 weeks. We can do it, and we will do it.
Got a fellow here that's 84 years old refusing to leave. We want to give him a triage tag. I'm going to put black on here. Identify his death because he will drown where he's at.
We're extremely concerned about areas in East Central Florida that were impacted by Charley just 3 weeks ago today, as tremendous amounts of rainfall occur over the Florida Peninsula with this slow-moving hurricane.
To get all the supplies out of Jacksonville for these 6 counties. So we'll get them there, they'll be there in the morning, and then the further distribution will be made from those 6 sites.
Asked a question. That's a $5 fine.
Yeah. Ben, why don't you give them the news?
In the far eastern Atlantic, Tropical Storm Ivan was upgraded to the 5th hurricane of the 2004 season. It's over 2,500 miles away. Our focus right now continues to be Francis.
Good answer, Ben.
We've been here, most of us, for 4 days, and it's been a long time. Normally a storm will come through and keep going. This one just stayed here and stayed here.
A lot of facilities here had generators as backup. When the power was off, they switched and they've been running seamlessly. But because of the duration, they did not have enough fuel, or they're calling us to tell us that they're running out of fuel shortly.
Yeah, he just phoned. Unfortunately, they won't let anybody go down. The bridge was shut down for a while.
I want to say, first of all, thanks to all these emergency workers. They've been here since Thursday. They're working 24 hours a day. They're tired, but their adrenaline's going to keep going. They're going to keep working. I talked to the White House yesterday. We have turned on federal aid, obviously. Trucks started rolling this morning at 5:45 because it was now safe to start getting those folks down into this area.
But for you all, a lot of people would have lost their lives. They wouldn't have left when they were supposed to, and I know it's inconvenient and people are impatient, but for your great work, a whole lot more damage would have taken place, although it's extensive, and a lot of people would have died. You should be proud of your service. I'm really proud of you, and we look forward to working with you to rebuild this beautiful part of our state.
This is a region-wide evacuation, and this region is not just Florida. From Florida to Louisiana, 23 counties now have mandatory evacuations in effect.
Definitely on the bad side of the storm, and probably do expect a lot of tidal surge, flooding.
They said you can expect at least a 12-foot storm surge for Perdita Key, Pensacola Beach.
There's a massive amount of supplies getting pre-positioned to go in there very, very quickly. We did it in Charley, we did it better in Francis, and now's the time to really show what we can do.
It was very important people evacuated. We're very pleased with that, but also the people that are inland to the storm
time to get inside. This storm's coming ashore, and it's going to be a long, stormy day and night.
Hurricane Ivan was devastating to the electric system. We've probably got 99% of our customers right now without electricity in Escambia County.
There are thousands and thousands and thousands of trees down in Pensacola. Downtown Pensacola has lots and lots of problems. City Hall does not look like it's going to be accessible right away or in the near future.
Got the I-10 bridge across Escambia Bay out. Probably be out for a long time.
When we flew over the barrier island, all of the dunes are gone. All of those sugary white beaches and the dunes have been washed over the entire barrier island.
This is a tough time for residents of Northwest Florida as we speak, thanks to the efforts of FEMA and the state, neighbors from all across the region. There is tremendous support coming to the people of Pensacola, the greater Pensacola area.
What's going on here is we're doing mass feeding. I have about 40 feeding vehicles. What we're doing is right now trying to establish our kitchen, get it up and running. We have been sending out MRE's water. To give you an example, we served 60,000 meals yesterday.
It's just amazing how this stuff is just unfolded today, all for the purposes of getting things out of the disaster deck. It hadn't always been pretty, and I think everybody here will agree to it. But it's all going in the right direction.
So here we are just a few days after landfall, and to see, all the power crews out there, the utility crews putting the power lines back up, and the bulldozers moving the sand off the roads there on the islands, and we're just light years ahead of where we were in Hurricane Andrew. So, my hat's off to all the people involved in the recovery efforts.
Center of circulation 105 miles east southeast of Vero Beach, Florida. The eye of the storm here. Where we see this orange, this is a pretty good indicator of where the sustained tropical storm force winds are. You can see them just off the coast of Florida.
We got a Cat 3 strengthening about to make landfall in an area that's already been hit. It only matters if we win. Don't matter how ugly it is. This is going to be an ugly response. We are spread out all over the place. This storm is going to come in and cross our main communication routes. But we've been planning to attack this storm from multiple directions.
Well, we took another impact last night and today is going to be very busy, and everybody in here should know the drill. But we do have extensive flooding in the areas, and we will continue to have extensive flooding with the rainfall we're receiving. We need to keep an eye on the rivers.
Staging area that was at Egler Air Force Base was directed to send 55 trucks of ice and 31 trucks of water to Tallahassee to protect it from the storm's effects. And then once the storm passes, those trucks will move to Palm Beach. We also had trucks of water and ice staged at Homestead Air Force Base, which are currently en route to Palm Beach.
By this point in time, many of these communities have been battered as many as 3 times. Many of the buildings that were slightly damaged, now because of the continuous battering of storm after storm, have moderate to major damage.
Some of the people in New Smyrna and a few places up this way where you had complete structure failure of the seawall caused some horrific damage to the upland businesses, motels, parks, and stuff like that.
Why it happened? Well, pure simple fact was just the 3 systems coming in one after the other, but I've lived here 51 years. There are many people who've lived here for 20 years and 30 years and sort of felt like this area had some sort of false buffer, was immune to hurricanes, and obviously that's not the case.
September 11th, 2001 taught us we need to be ready not only for natural disasters, but also for the potential devastation a terrorist attack can bring to our community. It has been said, if we secure the hometowns, we'll secure the homeland. So what are state and local leaders doing to secure our community? This video also comes to us from the state of Florida and prominently features Alachua County Fire Rescue Chief Will May, who is also the Fire Rescue Chairman for the Northeast Florida Domestic Security Task Force.
You are cleared for forcible breach. Cleared for forcible breach. On your go.
It is widely acknowledged that the state of Florida has the most comprehensive domestic security strategy of any state in the nation. Its foundation can be traced back to Florida's leadership in the field of emergency management and its ability to prepare and respond to hurricanes and other natural and man-made disasters. However, the state's focus on domestic security is directly attributable to the tragic events of September 11, 2001. The sheer magnitude of that attack quickly stretched each local area's resources. It also forced first responders from different disciplines to work together in ways in which they had never trained, making a difficult task even more complex.
During the awful events of that day, we saw police, fire, rescue that had not really worked closely together other than responding to situations, but not to the extent that they trained and prepared together.
9/11 illustrated that the response to a terrorism event requires the coordination of many disciplines. And within days of the 9/11 attack, Governor Jeb Bush ordered an assessment of the state's domestic security level of preparedness and response. Over 1,000 subject matter experts in Florida came together from the different disciplines that respond, manage, and are impacted by these types of disasters. Their mission was to devise an integrated, multidisciplined, and multi-jurisdictional domestic security strategy to better protect Florida, its residents, and its visitors from acts of terrorism. Central to that strategy was the creation of 7 regional domestic security task forces around the state. The task forces are comprised of local, state, and federal agencies consisting of emergency management, law enforcement, fire rescue, health and medical, education, communications, public and private utilities, and other private sector partners. Each task force is co-chaired by the regional director of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and a local sheriff. The role the task forces play in the state's domestic security strategy is to collect and disseminate terrorism intelligence and information, coordinate equipment and training needs, and facilitate a multidiscipline, multi-jurisdictional response should an incident occur. Collecting and disseminating terrorism intelligence is a way to stop an attack before it occurs.
There is a side of the domestic security program in Florida that's really out looking for that bad guy that would create problems, that would cause destruction, would cause injury, death in a community.
Coordinating equipment and training is designed to prepare each of the different regions in the event of an attack.
We have a tabletop exercise as well as a field exercise, and part of that is to look at what we've been doing and what we've devised and see how we can better improve it.
In each region, tabletop exercises allow participants to work on a real-life terrorism scenario. Responses to the attack are then devised and evaluated. The field exercise, or full-scale exercise as it is also called, occurs shortly after the tabletop exercise. It is a major undertaking for each regional task force. In the full-scale exercise, the tabletop scenario is played out in real-life conditions with actors in the roles of victims and terrorists.
The goal here is to use every resource that we have as efficiently and effectively as we can to save property, to save lives, and to save the life of the responder as well. And through the exercise, we're able to evaluate that.
It is during the full-scale exercise that each task force practices its role in facilitating a multidisciplined, multi-jurisdictional response to a terrorism incident. Once they are activated, they establish cross-line communications among local and state emergency management officials, as well as each of the other regional task forces. They facilitate getting resources to the attacked areas, coordinating needed equipment or personnel. If multiple terrorist attacks occur outside their region, specialized teams throughout the state can be coordinated by the task forces, region by region, through the state and local emergency management offices.
Not unusual to require resources from other regions, so this whole thing can develop into more than what it first appears to be. Because as we've learned through 9/11 and events around the world since, that's a typical method of operation for terrorists. They strike in one place as a diversion when they hit another major target in another area. So you have to be rather adaptable as you go through this process.
We have developed the teams now in Florida that can respond and deal with those things. And you can have those teams on scene anywhere in the state within 2 hours.
This regionalized approach to domestic security also helps smaller counties who may not have the resources that larger counties do. Hazardous materials teams, for example, are expensive to maintain as well as to train. But by knowing that another county's hazmat team is nearby and can be utilized, a smaller county's resources can be used to better train their fire rescue team, for example, which can then also be utilized by other regional counties or even other regions around the state.
In Florida's case, we're developing the capability to provide region-wide resources, and we utilize those local departments and local personnel and put them together into teams, or either build up a local team so that it then can respond beyond its own jurisdiction. And that way, we're taking care of the local level, but we're providing the capabilities to send a lot of resources with specialized training and equipment into an area that may have experienced a terrorism event.
Another statewide benefit of a regionalized approach to disaster response is that it has applications beyond a terrorist attack.
Our only mission in life is to meet the needs of the disaster victims and the communities of this storm.
During the hurricanes of 2004, for example, resources from around the state were quickly moved to impacted areas.
I think by working together, we understand each other's various role in an emergency situation much better than we ever did before. And I've heard many comments as I've traveled across the state during the hurricane season from various disciplines to the extent that, now we see some real benefit from our practice for domestic security in terms of actually putting it into place for a natural disaster.
The greatest thing that has happened in the state of Florida through the domestic security program has been bringing all of the response agencies together to plan together, train together, exercise together. And we're responding to that. And you respond together regardless if you ever tried to put it together. You're going to have to when the chips are down.
If we all respond, all 67 counties and your municipalities and your state agencies throughout the state of Florida are on the same plan and they are responding using the same set of material and the same response plans and the same training, it provides for a no-gap measure. Anyone can come in and help your agency respond and recover to a disaster if you're operating off the same principles and guidelines.
Most communities throughout the state of Florida have sufficient resources to manage daily hazardous events. Florida's 7 regional domestic security task forces are there for those times when a terrorism event overwhelms a community's ability to respond, when mutual local aid agreements are insufficient, or when communities need a more specialized response to a hazard.
We now have a all-discipline, all-level of government up through the state level in Florida that knows what the plan is. We have a common incident command process. We know regionally what we have. We know the specialized resources we have from all the disciplines. We know if we are part of an incident command someplace and something comes up, we need a special resource. We know about that resource and we know who to ask for it, know how to get it there real quickly.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Alachua County Talks. We'll see you again next time.
Litter on the road, litter on the beach, litter in the water, way beyond your reach. Pluck it, pick it, put it in the can. By doing this, you help.
No one likes the look of litter, and it's up to you to make sure our schools, parks, lakes, and beaches are clean. The next time you're outside having a meal or trying to cool off with a drink, remember to put your trash in the garbage can or recycling bin. Keep it clean. It's up to you.
By doing this, you help to save the land.